Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Camp.
Call the buzzer. Call the...
Take him back! Take him out!
You die in prison as well.
These 4 murders over a 10-day period is one of the worst killing sprees in the history of this state.
First up, we're in Omaha, Nebraska, for the sentencing hearing for Nico Jenkins. The 26-year-old was arrested after reportedly going on a 10-day crime spree that left 4 people dead in 3 separate attacks in the city of Omaha. A notorious criminal figure in Omaha, detectives were not shy about letting Jenkins know how they had him nailed for the alleged crimes.
You don't realize I got Nico Jenkins? You don't realize that? I got Nico Jenkins. I got you.
What do you mean you got me?
I got your DNA at the murder scene. I got your DNA in the car.
Sir.
I got the weapon. I got Nico Jenkins.
Detectives got something else, too.
And that's why y'all don't even understand how hard this is for me. Because I'm betraying my family, do you understand? I'm literally betraying my family and my bloodline.
You alright?
You know what I mean?
Jenkins claims he recruited numerous family members to help carry out the crimes. Additional arrests that included his sister, uncle, cousin, even his mother. Investigators say the deadly family affair began when Jenkins enlisted his sister and female cousin to lure 2 men into a park. They robbed them, and Jenkins shot both in the head. Jenkins' uncle was allegedly involved in a carjacking with his nephew that resulted in another murder. And Jenkins' mother picked up charges for accessory to murder for allegedly concealing evidence and purchasing the ammunition used in the murders. Jenkins, who was recently arrested for making terroristic threats, would ultimately confess to the 4 murders during that police interview.
I'm gonna give you from A to Z. This is not no goose chase. This is the real deal right here.
He later pleaded no contest to 4 counts of first-degree murder, multiple weapons charges, and faced either life without parole or the death penalty. Behind bars and awaiting sentencing, Nico Jenkins continued to grab media attention when he used a razor to mutilate his face and attempted to carve the word Satan into his courtroom with new facial tattoos and visible razor scars on his face. After Jenkins waived his right to a jury trial, a 3-judge panel makes a ruling on Jenkins' sentence at this bench trial.
The defendant's commission of these 4 murders over a 10-day period is one of the worst killing sprees in the history of this state. Each one of these murders was a deliberate and planned act. The victims were pre-selected and the murders were purposeful.
And finally, judgment arrives for Nico Jenkins.
This panel finds that the death penalty is appropriate, should be, and is hereby given for each of the 4 murders by the defendant.
An additional 450 years was also tacked onto his sentence, the result of numerous weapons charges. Nico Jenkins would later appeal his death sentence, and it was rejected by the Nebraska Supreme Court. As for the family members he involved in the crimes, his sister Erica Jenkins was sentenced to life in prison for her involvement in the murders. Cousin Christine Bordeaux, who turned state's evidence and testified against her family, was given 20 years. Uncle Warren Levering received 40 years, and his mother, Lori Jenkins, was given 2 years for accessory charges.
CZ Ronald Strasser.
We're in Clackamas County Courthouse in Oregon City, Oregon. Ronald Strasser's in court today, facing a charge of trespassing. He has multiple convictions on his record, including criminal trespass, DUI, resisting arrest, assaulting a safety officer.
He's the CZ Ronald Strasser.
The hearing starts off awkwardly. The defendant is sitting in the gallery, but for some reason he's not responding to his name being called.
Case number 16 CR 51766. This is the time set for an appearance reset. I guess defendant is not present.
Deputy Daniel O'Keefe steps forward to let the judge know Strasser is present.
Your Honor, he is here.
According to news reports, Strasser has a reputation amongst Clackamas County deputies, so perhaps that's why O'Keefe is able to identify the defendant.
Are you Mr. Strasser?
No, I'm not Mr. Strasser, but I am here in regards to that matter.
Oh, okay. Then it'll be a $25,000 warrant.
Pardon me?
A potential $25,000 bench warrant? Well, now the judge seems to have Strasser's attention.
Pardon me, sir?
The defendant finally stands and lifts his shades briefly as Deputy O'Keefe approaches in an attempt to take him into custody.
There'll be a $25,000 warrant since Mr. Strasser.
He grabs him by his left arm, then takes him to the ground. O'Keefe pins the defendant down. The audio drops out of the recording, but according to the incident report, Deputy O'Keefe says he delivered 10 to 12 strikes onto Strasser's left side and back area in order to gain control of the situation. 4 more deputies rush in to assist in taking Strasser into custody. Strasser was arrested and charged with interfering with a police officer, contempt of court, and resisting arrest. He was held in Clackamas County Jail for 56 days. But the story doesn't end with Strasser's arrest. The Clackamas County Attorney's Office opened a criminal investigation of Deputy Daniel O'Keefe. Another deputy in the Sheriff's Department accused O'Keefe of specifically requesting to be placed in the courtroom because he was hoping for a reason to, quote, beat the out of Strasser. Deputy O'Keefe was ultimately cleared of wrongdoing. As for Ronald Strasser, he was released from custody when prosecutors ultimately decided to dismiss all charges related to the incident. Next, we're in Utica, New York, for the sentencing of 22-year-old Brandon Clark. 2 years earlier, Clark was charged with second-degree murder for the brutal killing of 17-year-old Bianca Devins. After meeting on the internet, Clark and Devins began a friendship and hung out together for several months before traveling to New York City to see a concert. But during the show, Clark allegedly became angry after witnessing Devins kiss another man. After driving back, Clark parked on a dead-end street and pulled out his cell phone.
He set up his cell phone on the dashboard of his car, and he recorded the actual crime.
The disturbing video showed Clark using a knife to kill Bianca Devins inside his car.
And when we all saw that, here in this court, defense counsel, police, we saw her fight desperately for her life. And, Your Honor, there was no way that she could have seen it coming, and there was certainly no way that she could overcome the likes of Brandon Clark. And then we watched as he blamed her. Bianca, you made me do this. Well, she didn't. The blame is with you.
Following her murder, Clark took graphic photos of Devins' body and posted them online. He later called 911 to report the murder and his impending suicide.
What are you wearing?
It doesn't matter. I'm going to be dead.
Okay, well, I just want to talk to you, okay?
Yeah, I know you want to. I know how your job works. You have to keep me on the line, but it's not happening.
Cut his own neck in front of them and was rushed to the hospital. 7 months after the crime, he would ultimately plead guilty to second-degree murder. The maximum punishment would allow Clark to see a parole board after 25 years, but he could remain in prison for life. Now at sentencing, members of Bianca's family confront her killer.
I am Olivia Devins. I am Bianca Devins' sister. Last year, I used to have social media, and one day I opened up my Instagram just as any 16-year-old does, except I was traumatized. Many random people set their profile pictures as my sister's death photo and went on my page, knowing I would without a doubt see it. I am now 17 years old. My life has just begun, but this is when Bianca's was taken.
My entire adult life, I've been Bianca's mom. Without her, I don't know who I am. Brandon Clark has shown that he has no regard for human life. He stole my daughter's life from her and his family for his own selfish reasons that I will never understand. I am haunted every day by the images of
my precious daughter being murdered.
Finally, Bianca's grandfather addresses her killer.
I believe that due to the cruelty and callousness of your actions, you, Brandon, should serve the rest of your natural life in prison. This sentence will serve as justice for Bianca.
Following the family's emotional pleas, Brandon Clark is walked within feet of Bianca's loved ones and addresses the court.
For almost 2 years now, I've sat in my cell and I've wondered what I'm going to say when it finally comes time for me to speak to the people that I've hurt. And it's never been enough. It's never been adequate. I felt to really convey my emotions and to apologize. How do you meaningfully apologize for doing something so horrible and so irreversible? I hate myself for what I did to her. I don't know why. I don't understand how I could do something like that. I don't even know who I was that day, and it disgusts me.
Clark's words seem to have little impact on Judge Michael Dwyer, who then delivers the maximum allowable sentence.
He will be sentenced to an indeterminate sentence of imprisonment and shall have a minimum term of 25 years and a maximum term of life imprisonment.
Brandon Clark will not be eligible for parole until 2046.
All right, Nelson Walker. There you are.
Next, we're in Miami-Dade County, where Nelson Walker is charged with a crime where the evidence may be, as they say in the law, in plain view.
All right, you're charged with stealing a Dolphin jersey?
According to authorities, Walker and a friend were at a Miami Dolphins game a day earlier when they attempted to snag a few souvenirs. They reportedly entered an apparel shop, stuffed 2 jerseys and a hat down their pants, then headed for the exit. Police officers caught the duo near the parking lot and charged them with third-degree theft.
All right, you're charged with stealing a Dolphin jersey?
Back in court, Judge Ward seems a bit suspicious of the situation, and when she begins asking Walker about the Dolphins jersey he's wearing, he's got an answer.
This ain't the one, y'all.
No?
No, ma'am. They show on that I ain't took no jersey. I ain't took no jersey.
Walker first insists the Dolphins jersey he's wearing is not the one he allegedly stole.
This ain't the one, y'all.
He then claims he didn't steal a jersey at all.
They show on that I ain't took no jersey. I ain't took no jersey.
The judge then turns to the public defender for his take. But he decides to raise an issue regarding an inconsistency on the police report.
Public defender?
As to Mr. Walker, respectfully, Your Honor, I'm going to be raising a probable cause.
As to what?
As to this being a felony. Because the allegations are an observation of observing the defendant and co-defendant put on a dolphin hats. The officer says a, and then says hats, so there's an issue as to whether it's 2 hats or 1 hat.
Walker seems on board with the public defender's approach.
The officer says a, and then says hats, so there's an issue as to whether it's 2 hats or 1 hat.
Despite the semantics issue, the judge orders Walker, who has 29 prior felonies on his record, held on $5,000 bond. Weeks later, Miami-Dade prosecutors declined to press charges against Walker, and he's released. But the judge did order Walker to stay away from the Dolphin Stadium. Perhaps not seeing his beloved team play in person is punishment enough. Next, we take you inside the Champaign County Municipal Courthouse in Urbana, Ohio. As a group of men sprawled out on the courthouse floor. So how'd they end up there? A few minutes earlier, he barged into the courtroom of Judge Gil Weithman, who was in the middle of a case unrelated to Hammond. The disruption was allegedly over a dispute Hammond had with police and the court regarding a property map. So Judge Weithman first held him in contempt, then asked his bailiff, Carl Bader, and a police officer in the courtroom, Steve Moulton, to remove him, which they did, and which happened had a bit of a problem with. There's Hammond in the jacket and fraternal lodge hat. The officer bailiff for having trouble restraining the suspect, who removes his jacket. Hammond breaks free when he is flattened by court probation officer Brian Cordial, who's in plain clothes because in this court, probation officers are not required to wear uniforms. Hammond hits the ground hard, and it's a mystery how his hat remains on his head. Hammond's arrested and charged with resisting arrest, 2 counts of assault, as well as obstructing official business. He pled not guilty on all counts and was released on his own recognizance. But when he failed to appear at his next court hearing, a warrant was eventually issued for his arrest.
Hey, Mr. What? Mr. Hernandez.
We're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for a bond hearing, and the man barking at the judge
Mr. Hernandez.
is 27-year-old Brian Hernandez. Hernandez was arrested and charged with robbery after a police officer witnessed him assault a woman and attempt to steal her purse.
What do you want, Judge? Do you see me? Am I live?
Judge John Hurley's no stranger to contentious bond hearings, so he begins this one with the old one hand washes the other approach.
Mr. Hernandez, if you stay calm, I'll be nice to you, you be nice to me, and we'll get through this hearing, all right?
For a second, it appears Hernandez may take the judge up on his offer, but he doesn't.
Listen, I got one thing to tell you. Such people as if your tongue is a gavel, and you prosecuted a lot of innocent people that were my brothers and sisters, and you think for 1 second, I'm gonna let you do the same to me. Just don't even think it, my friend.
Leave him there, but just shut that off.
As Hernandez continues ranting with his microphone shut off, Judge Hurley puts a statement on the record.
This court normally needs to find out somebody's ties to the community, their ability to post bond, but I believe that engaging in that conversation with Mr. Hernandez today would be fruitless.
But while Judge Hurley continues, Hernandez attempts to unmute his microphone. First using his hands, and then with his head. But the judge keeps moving forward as he breaks down the facts of the case, which will determine his final decision.
You punched a woman in the face. Her purse was on the ground. You allegedly violently grabbed her purse, tried running away with it, but she held on. She suffered injuries to her face and the head. The court has great concern for the safety of the community, and noting the level of violence, the court's going to set your bond today at $50,000.
Brian Hernandez later pleaded no contest to robbery, as well as an additional charge of battery that was later added. He was sentenced to 3 years probation, following 225 days already served in jail. That's it for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.